Welcome, folks, to this rendition of CINC. We're delighted to have you, and I think we've got a great program for you this morning. Before I start the program, I have to tell you about the invisible man. Invisible man married an invisible woman, and their children weren't much to look at either. Hey, listen, last time Rod spoke, I told a good story. Should I tell him that one again? Well, it was good. Rod, in his spare time, enjoys reading about birds and what's different kind of birds and where they live and all that stuff. And he went to the Canary Islands and he studied it and searched and could not find a single canary on the Canary Islands.
Ham, you know we cannot hear him.
Then he went to the Virgin Islands, and there were no canaries there either. We're delighted to have this morning two of our employees, our maintenance people, represented by Rod Jordan. The only thing I have against Rod was he chose to be a Marine, and I know that upset a few folks. Did it? No? Rod's been here, what, 9 years? 9 years, and is in charge of everything from changing light bulbs to digging holes in the ground and putting new sewers in, and anything in between. And especially when people run through gates, he's real good at making that happen. One just happened. But let's welcome Rod Jordan. You're on, my man. Wait a minute before you do that. Go sit down.
Aye, aye, sir.
I finally get to boss
Ham,
somebody
I can
around.
if I unmute me.
I'm new at this, as you can probably figure out. But I want to introduce a few folks that are here for the first time as residents. And let's see, I believe Pat Williams is here. Come right up here, Pat, where you can be on the screen. Because if we get you on the TV, we may have to break for a commercial in the process. Okay, Pat. Pat is a brand new resident here, and you have moved into Westminster when?
1 month ago.
1 month ago. Okay, right in the middle of all the confusion.
Yes.
And where did you move from?
Centerville, Virginia.
You want to tell us where that is? Is that in the center of the state?
No, it's outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. All right. And how long were you there?
Probably 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
We were a military family, so we moved around a lot.
That's good. And tell me a little bit about your family.
I have a daughter here and family here. That's why I moved. And I have another daughter in Philadelphia. And we're just one big happy family.
That's good. That's good. Have you ever worked?
I'm retired from the government.
So you didn't work when you were with the government?
Well, yes.
And what did you do?
I was a budget analyst for CIA.
And we can't ask any more questions because I'm the one that'll get shot, right? That's right. And where do you live on our campus?
I live at Dogwood.
Which one?
Number 1.
Number 1 in Dogwood. Listen, Pat, we are delighted to have you, and these are all of your new best friends.
Okay.
And you work at it and make it happen.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let's see. Marlene Shaw. Yeah, here you are. Good.
Turn the video off.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. And tell us where you came from.
Well, I came from South Florida, although I'm not a Floridian. I was in South Florida because my husband and I had come to Florida from North Carolina, and I'm not a North Carolinian either.
Do you know what you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Marylander originally. But my husband was a university president in North Carolina, and when he retired in 2003, oh, by the way, I was a school principal, but not in North Carolina or in Florida. And when he decided he wanted to retire, he wanted to retire to South Florida. So we moved to Boca Raton in 2003. And then after a few years, he said, maybe we should decide on a senior citizens community. I said, no, I don't need a senior citizens community. But in the meantime, after 2 years of prodding me, he always called me Lady Shaw. He said, Lady Shaw, are you ready yet? No. And finally, we started looking. And we settled on the Forum, which is in Broward County, just over the line from Palm Beach County. But we only were there 2 months before he suddenly passed away. And so my daughter, my only child, was in Miami. And she would come on the weekends to see me, and we'd go shopping and all the other things that mothers and daughters do. And then the pandemic hit, and she couldn't come to visit because it was closed to visitors. And in the meantime, she decided to get married, and she came she's an interior designer, and a company came after her, and they have an office in Jacksonville. And of course, she came to Jacksonville. Now, she's even further away from me. And she and her husband says, you've got to come up here so that at least we can be closer. Even though I now can only see her until it opens up some more, I can see her on the grounds, on the campus. And she has my car. I still drive. She has my car because she wanted to have it serviced and to make sure it was running well for me. And so I'm here now. She asked me 3 things. I think I said that to you, Mary. My daughter said to me, what are the 3 things you like most about where you are? Because she had selected this place before I did. Remember, she's an interior designer, so she looked at things that I look at aesthetics. She looked at practical things as well. And so she said, and what are the 3 things? Once I came in July to negotiate with Kathleen Weber, who was just wonderful, I said, first of all, it's close to you. Secondly, it's on the water, and we are lovers of water. And third, it's less money than where I was. So, and so here I am in Westminster Woods. I live in Camellia, C5, and I've only been here 2 weeks.
So you've had a good view of what's been going on over there.
It's right there on my patio. There was a big machine. I guess it drew water out of the ground. It ran 24/7, and I had to get used to hearing that sound for 24 hours, but it is now. The machine has been taken away, and I understand that it won't be long.
Well, we've got the man here that's going to tell us when that's going to happen. Okay? Good. Hey, listen, thank you. I wanted to reach out and hold your hand. I'm not supposed to because we're in COVID. But I see so many people using their hands when they talk. And I just thought I would help you.
Yeah, thank you
Good.
very much.
Marlene, thank you. We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have you. Good. Sandra Otten. Oh, here we go. I'll meet you halfway. I'm half. Good. Sandra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am, let me see, how do I put it? I just moved from Bartram Park Boulevard over here.
That was a long-distance move, right?
No, it was a sort of a final move. And I have friends that live here. And they said, Sandy, you really like it. And she's right. I really do.
Good. And you moved here from, before you were in Bartram, where were you from?
We'll go back 3 steps. I lived on a boat for 20 years. The last 7 was by myself because my husband had passed away. And then my family sort of got on my case. Said, Mother, you really should think about moving off the boat. And I said, why, because of my age? And then he said, no, we just think it's safer. And that was fine. So I moved off the boat and went up to North Carolina. Lived in a duplex up there. And then we had a little hurricane that hit us, dead center. And I was very fortunate. My then daughter-in-law, now daughter-in-law, called and said, Mom, I think you better get yourself over to the airport. I made a reservation. We don't want you up there. So I came down here and started looking.
And come to Florida where we don't have hurricanes.
No, but look, I lived on a boat
Oh, that's right.
in the Carolinas. I know what hurricanes are like.
Yes, good. And where do you live here?
I live in G9.
G9. Okay, folks, let's welcome Sandra and get a chance to know her. And she'll tell you about, did you all notice when she was talking about the boat? I was just kind of putting a few little,
This is why I'm so happy to be close to the water.
yes.
I mean, I miss that very much.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. You can almost, what do you think, Rod? I think she could walk across the creek right here, don't you? Need a little straw. Okay.
Is this Julington Creek here?
Yes.
And-
Julington Creek.
And then,
St. John's River starts the other side of the bridge.
oh, just the other side of the bridge?
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome. We're glad to have you. Look forward to getting to know you better. Now, are there other new members that are here for the first time? These 3 were the ones that I knew about. And we do have some of you who were interviewed last time. We're glad you're here. So now, second go around, let's have a big round of applause for our speaker, Rod Jordan.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing today? Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad we can start gathering a little bit. Like Mr. Bailey said, I'm the Director of Maintenance, Grounds, and Security. I have my hands in pretty much everything, but I have an awesome administrative staff. I have Marcus Orr, who's my maintenance supervisor, and I have Mike Wamling, who is our construction supervisor. He takes care of all the renovations of the properties and minor construction type events. I have Nell. I'm sure that if you've all been here a week or two, know to call Nell at extension 351. If you're very, very, very lucky, you get to actually talk to her in person. But most of the time, you just get to hear her voicemail. And I recommend that you always leave her a message because she dumps that phone probably 5 or 6 times a day, takes down your work order. If she has any questions, she'll call you back. And then she puts it into an automated work order system called Micromain. And what that does is that gives us the ability to track where we're at with that work order, who it's assigned to, when it was assigned, how long it took to get it done, things like that. So it really helps us keep track of what's going on in the property. Then we have 5 maintenance engineers, 3 maintenance mechanics, and 1 maintenance person. We have 2 groundskeepers and 3 security. 2 of them are full-time, 1 of them is part-time, works Saturday and Sunday night. That's kind of my staff. What do? We pretty much do everything. We change light bulbs. We change out air conditioning systems. We keep track of all the boilers on the property. We keep track of all of the air conditioning systems. And I think you're all familiar with, we don't have air-cooled air conditioners on the property. Pretty much the entire main campus is run off of chilled water or boiler water. Those two mix and give you the desired temperatures that you want. So the property has a lot of chilled water. We have two huge chillers at the maintenance shop. Maintenance shop is located over there in Creekside, right next to Bishop Estates Road. And I think we're conveniently located so we can get to places easily. That's pretty much the maintenance side of the house. We do pretty much everything for free, but there are some things that we do have to charge you for, and we're usually pretty upfront if we have to charge you for those things. In the resident manual, it tells you what our a la carte pricing is, so I try not to, I know y'all, pay good money to live here, and I try to be very, very lax on what we charge you for and what we don't charge for. As long as we can get it done for you, we will. There are some restrictions, though. We don't jump your vehicle, we don't work on your computers, things that are going to create a liability, a possible liability on us. We can't get involved with some of those things, but we can call AAA for you and try to help you in other ways. Are there any questions about my maintenance staff? All right, let me talk about infrastructure. I know you're all concerned about infrastructure, and we have a new engineering company doing the infrastructure. It's called Coastal Utility Construction. They have been a breath of fresh air as compared to our other infrastructure engineering company. They pretty much stay on time, and they get the work done, and they do a really good job. So we're really impressed with them. We've got all of the lift station. It's connected to the old sewer system, sanitary system, and we've got a force main that goes all the way to where the dam, so we can, after it's inspected by the county, and then it's inspected by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, we'll be able to go ahead and tie all of that sanitary stuff into the sanitary systems that come out each one of the garden apartments. But that's going to take about 30 days for the FDEP to give us final approval to use or to tie in the septic system. With that, we've decided that we're going to move over to the west part of the campus, over where the health center is, and we're going to finish up phase 1B. Now, if you've been here a while, you know that I think that was last June. We started about that, and we ran into so many electrical lines that went from the generator and the main three-leg power feed over from San Jose that we had to stop. There was no way that we could block it or bank it or protect it on its sides without, plates and everything else. So we had abandoned that, and then we went on to phase 2 and phase 3. Now we're coming back to phase 1B, and they're going to start on that next week. Monday, they're going to start putting in well points. Here in Florida, you don't do any digging lower than 3 feet without putting in well points. So they drive these big stakes down into the ground, and they suck out the water. That's what the pumps were for. And the pumps just pump the water and probably pump it right into the storm system that's over there. So after they pump the water out for 2 or 3 days, they're going to start digging. And then when they start digging, we're not quite sure if we're going to be able to get a 42-inch drain pipe. That's a big pipe, but we have to get it underneath all of that electrical conduit and the blocking, the concrete blocking that's over that electrical. So once they figure out what they're going to do, we're either going to take all the electrical and blocking out and then lay the 42-inch storm pipe, or they're going to try to get under it and find a way to slide the pipe underneath the electrical conduit. They haven't figured out what they're going to do, but they're going to get it open, exposed, and then decide what they're going to do. So we have everything done at the lift station over here except the electrical tie-in. They should be here on Monday to finish up that, and then going to get it to final grade. We're going to come out, you know that we have the concrete. We finally got the concrete from the dam to the auditorium. That's all put in and it's travelable now. Next, after next week, we're going to clean up all of the north part of the campus here. Get the sidewalks replaced where that big 20-ton excavator just tore up as it went through. We'll re-put the sod back down and make that look good and open that up for everyone. Then we're going to come back between B and C, and we're going to put a sidewalk in there. The only difference to the sidewalk is it's going to do a little 45 up towards Main Street. It's going to do a little 45 towards the B building, and then it's going to shoot back into its angle, and it's going to line up with the sidewalk that's on the north side of the museum. And that way we won't have that four-way stop with about 15 feet difference, and it'll just line up and it'll be a four-way stop there. In the interim, before we lay the sidewalk, we're going to have a landscaping crew come in, and they're going to we're going to cut down a couple pine trees because they are so close to the B building that the roots are lifting up the patios, and because they're lifting up the patios, the water's not draining properly. So we're going to cut two of those big old slash pines down, and we're going to redo the landscaping, and I think it's going to look really nice. So that's where we are in infrastructure. The gates are a big problem. I wished I had an excuse, but between the rain and the lightning that we've had, and the activity. The Eastwood Gate had so much activity that the hydraulics and the electronic computer boards were not capable of sustaining the opening and closing. So just yesterday, they finally got new hydraulics in, got the new computer boards, and when I left work yesterday, the Eastwood Gate was working. When I got to work this morning, the Eastwood Gate was wide open. So I don't know what's going on with that. I will try to find out and hopefully get that gate working. Also, we put those really nice call button pads at each one of the gates so visitors or vendors could press that call button. It would call security, ring to security. It had audio and visual app on the phone so they could look and see who's pushed the button and talk to them, make sure they were screened, and then push a button and the gate would open from that call button. And that really helped us out because then we didn't have one person running from gate to gate to gate to keep opening it. Well, they're very susceptible to lightning. And we have wiped out the Eastwood call button pad twice and Creekside call button pad twice. So they will get reinstalled on Tuesday. And we've taken added measures to put some suppression in those call buttons so that hopefully when lightning strikes, it'll pop the circuit before it blows the pads up. So we are working on that. We're supposed to have our new motor for the Creekside gate. That's supposed to be in on Monday, going to be installed on Tuesday, and hopefully we can have our gate issues fixed by then. I hope so, because that has been one huge nemesis for me. So, any questions from the audience? Ms. Ray?
This doesn't actually affect me personally. However, it is something I've always wondered since we started all this infrastructure is when you start connecting the garden apartments to the main line, does that require tearing up Main Street?
The question was when we tie in the old sanitary system to the new one, will that require us to tear up Main Street? Yes, it will. Each one of those sanitary systems coming out of the garden apartment come right out from the middle of the hallway. But the nice thing is the sanitary system is closer to the west edge of the sidewalk where the columns are, so it's almost before you get out to the grass and sidewalk area. It's there, so we might not have to cut up too much of it. Our plan is when we're going to start at K, of course, and work our way down to C. B and A are already connected into the system. So as we come down K, we're going to close that off. Residents will have to walk around. They'll have to go out the K sidewalk, walk up to the H sidewalk, back in the H sidewalk, and down. So, and hopefully they're only down for a couple days. We'll get the concrete back in, and life will get normal. And then we'll just do each one as we come down the line. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Should we use MyWLife for maintenance requests, or would you rather that we call Nell?
Should we use MyWLife or call Nell? Yes, please. I love email because it gives me the capability of watch what's going on. Everyone thinks Rod knows everything that happens on this property. Rod doesn't know everything. Rod tries to keep track of where we are with infrastructure. I try to keep projects moving along. I'm watching the budget all the time. I'm trying to take care of those things that my maintenance folks need to do work orders and complete their daily tasks. So I'm not totally in the dark because I get briefed 4 or 5 times a day on things that are happening, and I get phone calls, but emails, MyWLife, phone calls, voicemails. I even have residents texting me now. So you cannot text Nell because she has a hard land phone, hardwired phone. But you know, we give out our cards and it has our work cell phone numbers on it, so you can text us, you can email. Any way that you want to communicate a work order to the maintenance shop is a good way to go. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Yes, sir.
I have a mystery question. I live in Southwood 42A. I get up very early in the morning and have coffee at Starbucks. The pole light, there's been 3 times in the last month. I go out one morning and the pole light's off. The next morning it's on. It's on for another week or so. Then it came off. Then it came back on the next day. And it was on. Today it was off again. Either you're very good at replacing the bulb or it's a mystery. I can't figure it out.
Well, sir, I can assure you we're not real good at replacing the bulbs because we have to have an electrical company come in because they have the hoist buckets so they can get up there and change those. I've had another Southwood resident tell me that the lights are weird, so I've called JEA. JEA supplies us the power to them, and they're supposed to be on light sensors. So depending on where that light sensor is, depends on how early the light comes on or how late it goes off. So I've called them before because I thought they were on timers, and because we lost power that maybe the timers have, but they told me they were on light sensors. So I will look into that issue, sir, and see if we can get some answers for you. Yeah. Wow, easy crowd this morning. Thank you. Any questions about anything else? It looks like we're going to try to start the memory care 32-bed over there at that new 7 acres that we acquired on Orange Avenue. They want to start on that probably late this winter or early in spring. So permitting papers are in. Engineering's done, so it looks like they're really going to get going on that and building that building over there on that 7 acres. So I just thought I'd let you all know that. Right now, I don't know if it's a guarantee, but I think Management Services has determined that the best place to do that would be to put a 10-foot blacktop or asphalt between 190C, which is on the right, and what is that, 148? I think that's 148. There's a big area there where they can kind of go behind the building, and that will be the golf cart, walking, biking way to access the memory and care. And then, of course, by vehicle, you'll just take Orange Avenue and pull in. All right. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Rod. We sure appreciate it. Very helpful. Okay, our next presenter is someone I hope all of you have gotten to know. If you haven't, shame on you. Leslie McCarrick is our chaplain here at Westminster Woods, and her office is right there. Now, when we were last doing CINC on a regular basis and having 70, 80, and 90 people because everybody loved to come, Leslie had just come on board as chaplain. And I thought how nice it would be to have a new person speak to us. And then we got shut down with COVID. And Leslie has been on hold. She has been building this presentation for 6 months. And she has a lot to say. I hope we get out of here on Leslie, come on up and speak. We're delighted to have Leslie McCarrick as our chaplain.
Thank you, Dwight. I made some notes for today, partly because ministers are notorious for being able to talk for great lengths of time. And I promise I'm not going to keep us here for the next 45 minutes. I'll make it shorter than that. Just one thing, as I was thinking about what Rod was sharing, and he's blessed with a beautiful big department of people. I'm sure that comes with its own unique challenges in keeping track of all of that department. In my department, I am a department of one. And in a way that's kind of cool because that gives me a lot of freedom and flexibility in what I do here. The other part of that is that I'm only one. And so there's 400 and some plus people here on this campus. That's all of you all, your neighbors, and all of the staff that's here as well. And so if I don't get to something immediately, I'm going to do my best to get to it as quickly as I can. That being said, I do want to be an available person for all of you. And now that you know where my office is, right back in the back where there's some flowers on the counter back there is my business card as well. If you ever want to reach out to me, my extension is there, my office phone is there, my cell phone is there, and I carry my cell phone with me when I'm here on campus, and so feel free to use those numbers. I mean, those are really the best ways to get in touch with me. If it's not emergent, you can leave it in my office, and I always reply back before the end of the day, unless it's very late in the day. But if it's something more emergent, see where I am on campus, call me on my cell phone, and I will be with you because I want to be available for everybody. I am a midlife minister. Used to be a generation ago, I would not look like your typical minister. Typical minister would be a young man who would go from college right into seminary, and then in the mid-late 20s somewhere would be starting their first pastorate someplace. I'm a second career minister. I had a life in marketing and in healthcare before I felt the call to ministry, and so I'm a little bit older these days, but when I started seminary in my mid-40s, I was your typical seminary student, second career, mid-40s female. And that was the makeup of most of the people at the seminary where I went, which is Asbury Theological Seminary. They have their main campus in Wilmore, Kentucky, and that campus was started in 1923. So they're not too far away from celebrating their 100th anniversary. But in 1999, they decided to build a second campus in Orlando. And so that is where I went, in Orlando. And it was great for me because the way they had classes set up, I could go a couple days a week as a part-time student and still be able to work and have an income. And not completely ignore my wonderful husband, Mac, in the process. He didn't imagine when we first got married this year we celebrated 24 years. He never imagined that he was marrying somebody that would one day be called into ministry, and he would be the spouse of a pastor. And so I am blessed to have had that background, to be part of Asbury. They're a very large seminary, if you're familiar with them at all. They have over 1,500 students in some 45 countries they come from, and over 90 different denominations. And so we're a very diverse population of people in both of the campuses that they have. When I graduated from seminary in 2009 with my Master of Divinity degree, I thought, wow, I've finally done it. And then the vice president of the campus said, congratulations, all of you, on your Master of Divinity degree. That means you have mastered nothing. And I thought, shoot. Here I thought I was getting a head start on something. But there was wisdom in that when he shared that with all of us, because we had a lot in the way of book learning. But I have found in these last 10, 11 years that ministry is something that's very much on the job. You learn as you go. You take those things that you've learned from the books and from your fellow students and from the professors, and then you hopefully can integrate those things into real life circumstances. But then there's always those times, and I have joked with fellow students and other chaplains that I know, our famous line is, we never learned that in seminary. And that's very true. They don't teach some classes. You just have to kind of figure it out as you go along, and you and God figure it out together. You work it out together. Before coming here to Westminster Woods, I was the pastor of a small church. My background is Christian Church Disciples of Christ. So the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. There was a small congregation I served in Winter Park. So if you know that area, it's a beautiful part of Central Florida, and I was very blessed to be their chaplain. When I was part of the church, I had always thought that doing chaplaincy might be something I was interested in. But then I got into seminary and I got into the classes and graduated and found this work, found this position in the church, and I kind of forgot a little bit about the possibility of chaplaincy until I was very blessed to have a friend who co-pastored with me at the church, and he had a very deep background in chaplaincy. And so we talked one day, and he said, you know, if you ever think you might want to do chaplaincy training, you let me know, and we'll work out all the church stuff. And so I did. And if you know anything about chaplaincy training, this is above and beyond what you learn in seminary. Seminary is the book learning, it's the languages and history, Christian history, and leadership and preaching and all of those kinds of things. Chaplaincy is taking yourself inside to a different place, if that makes any sense at all. I remember asking some friends, tell me about chaplaincy. I want to be prepared. I want to know as much as I can before I step into the first thing. And they said, you get out of it what you put into it. It's going to be something that will test you and stretch you and maybe make you upset sometimes, but you will never have a place that you learn as much as you will about yourself if you're a chaplain. And I found that out the very first time I was standing outside of a patient's door, never met these people ever. And I knocked on the door, and I thought to myself, oh my, what have I gotten into? I have no idea who's on the other side of this door. I don't know their needs. I don't know what they're going to think of me. And I had butterflies big time. But I knocked on that door, and that was my beginning in chaplaincy. You learn a lot about yourself as a chaplain. I have found times where, when I was in the hospital setting, and I did ultimately do some hospital chaplaincy before I came here, part-time at the church and part-time in the hospital system. And there were times when I would sit with parents and they were holding their very first baby and that baby didn't live. And what do you say to a parent when their firstborn has been taken from them? I've been with people who've received cancer diagnoses for the first time, and they say, "Chaplain, what am I going to say to my kids?" I had one instance in some of my training where a woman was very ill. She was not doing well, and her son walked up to me and stood about this far from me and said, "I want a priest." I said, "Okay." "No, you don't understand. I want one right now." I said, "Sir, I will call for a priest. We don't have one on." "I don't want excuses. I want the priest right now." And he was screaming at me. And I took a deep breath and I said, "I'll be back." And I got a priest, and the priest came, and he saw me later and he said, "I'm so sorry for the way I acted and the way I treated you." I said, "Listen," I said, "people don't come into a hospital setting feeling well. They come because they need assistance, because they have medical issues and concerns." I said, "And you're concerned about your loved one. I understand that. So no need to feel guilty or feel that you've treated me poorly. It's all part of chaplaincy." And so all of those things, I share some of those things with you all to let you know that no 2 days look exactly the same in life as a minister. You never know what the needs are going to be. It's always a little bit of a surprise, and it's always something holy and sacred when I get the joy to be able to spend time with the people that are here. And so I do a lot of that. That's kind of the heart of what I do here as your chaplain. And again, I am here for everybody. And especially now in light of COVID, when church life looks very different. One of the things when people are not able to go off campus to go to church, they can come here. In fact, I wish that I could have as many of you folks for Vespers tomorrow afternoon as there are here today. But we do have a Vesper service every Sunday afternoon. I also pre-record a Vesper service to air at the same time, 4 o'clock. And so you have a choice of one or the other to be able to participate in. Every Tuesday I do a prayer. It's a communal prayer that comes from Orlando, and various chaplains in our system and residents too. We all take turns and write the weekly prayer. And so that comes up every Tuesday, 2 o'clock at Tuesday. And then every Thursday I have a short meditation that also is at 2 o'clock. And all these things are on My W Life as well. And you can see old ones. You don't always have to be right there on Tuesday or Thursday or Sunday afternoon. You can see these things. They stay posted, and you can look at them at other times. I try to spend a lot of time, one-on-one time with people, especially in the health center. I'm over in the health center a couple times a week. On the first floor of the health center is our rapid recovery. And so some of those folks are residents from here. Some of them are from outside the community, but they're there for therapy. I spend a lot of one-on-one time with those people. I spend a lot of time in IJ&K, in Ilex, Jasmine, and Kumquat, in those 3 buildings with assisted living folks. And then there still is always time. I make time, necessary time to come. If any of you ever have a concern and you'd like some one-on-one time, you can come to me into the office, or I can come to you. That's one of the gifts that I have, is a gift of time to be able to spend with people. And so conversations are just between us whenever you would like me to come and spend time with you. I do periodic Bible study here on campus. And I also, on My W Life, have several slides that run during the week. I think I've had people tell me that those can serve to be a way to uplift people a little bit. And so I do several of those slides every day. And then periodically, or actually right now as we're needing extra hands, another treat that I get is on Friday afternoons. And I know Pam does this during the week, the other days, but I get to go bring dinner to people in their homes. Dining Services packages it all up. I get in my chaplain's chariot and I get to go and make brief visits with people that way. And so all of those things, every time I'm with another person, it's an opportunity for ministry. And I never know where God is going to point me, what direction he's going to put me in. But I do feel very strongly that wherever it is, that's where he's supposed to have me be. And so I am thankful in all those circumstances. So that's sort of me, my background a little bit. I did mention about my husband. He looks forward to the day when he can come on campus and start meeting some of you all. But he's retired. He keeps track of the house while I work. So it's kind of a role reversal, but it works for us, and we are blessed. Any other questions? Or any questions that anybody has? Maybe something I missed, some burning question that you would like to lift up to me. Yes, Susan. Either. Okay.
I was afraid that Vespers was full. So is there room still? How many can you take? And we have to sign up for it, right?
Yes, Vespers is something, Vespers, Bible study, any kind of a group setting that I lead, yes, like any other group, it has to be signed up for. It's 25 for in here, and that includes myself and some helpers. And so it turns out to be about 20, 22 people that can sign up. However, with our addition of the Zooming and that kind of thing, although they might not be able to be in this room, we're hoping we can expand that a little bit. But yes, physical presence in here, and this is the place where Vespers happened on Sunday afternoon, is still is 25 right now. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Leslie,
Thank you all for your time.
Much. Let's see, we got 10 minutes to burn. No, we're glad you're here, glad you came. I hope that soon, who knows when that will be, that we'll be able to be more social with people. We can see what you look like when you smile or when you frown, or we can see you without fogged glasses. But we keep on keeping on, and we're grateful for this team of staff that keeps this place running. And again, I want to say a word of thanks to Rod Jordan and also to Leslie for taking their time today and spending it with you. So, without any further ado, we're adjourned till next October.